I was driving north into Dallas, what seems like a century ago, and I tuned in a station that I had formerly consulted back about 9 or 10 years earlier than this, and to great success. So about 25 minutes past the hour, the radio station hit a spot break, and I counted them. They played 12 commercials in a row. After the 12 commercials, they did traffic, they did weather, what appeared to be news, then they did 8 more commercials. That's 20 commercials in about 15 minutes. They come out of that and say, and now the most music, the most country music in Dallas, 20 gazillion songs in a row. And that station's not the only one, of course. No matter where you are in major market America, that's what they're doing. And I'm sorry to break it to you, boys. You may want to argue with me, but it's crazy. I'm going to tell you how it started, though. In the first dozen to 15 years of rock and roll radio, you played a song, you played some commercials. You played another song, you played some more commercials. That's how it went 24/7. So in 1967 and 68, progressive rock on FM started to bubble up out of San Francisco, California, which was the first place it came up as. And across the nation, within a couple of years, there were what was first called progressive rock radio stations or album rock radio stations. And they were the anti-top 40s. That's how they were positioning themselves. If the top 40 disc jockeys were up and hyper and talking and happy and cheerful all the time, the progressive jocks were, whispering, talking to you in a mellow kind of a mood, up close to the microphone, So also top 40 really was very, very cluttered with commercials. You could carry 18 minutes commercials by the FCC rules. That was a maximum that you could carry. 18 minutes of commercials an hour. I worked at radio stations that broke that law all the time. These album rock radio stations were also, of course, playing the full album version of songs like the 7-minute version of Light My Fire, which on Top 40 radio had been cut down to 3 minutes. And then there was Cream and there was Hendrix and all of the other groups that were coming out at about that time. So you've got these long cuts, and at first they didn't have very many commercials. And you're going to be the anti-Top 40. So you're going to give your audience long music sweeps, completely uninterrupted by commercials. That was the pitch. So they clustered their commercials, and first it was the 40 break. So they'd have a break at 40 and get all of their commercials in at 40, or they might then, once they started having success and they sold more than 5 or 6 minutes an hour, they started putting breaks at 20 and also breaks at 50. Those were the prime positions: 20, 40, and 50, or in reverse order. 40 was the first to fill, then 20, then the 50 break you filled. So that's where the long break started, and it worked for album rock radio stations for a long time. And then what happened was the 1996 Telecom Act, which lifted ownership limits. And here we are today, friends.